point here where there is an unknown. They could have reacted badly to that. They could have got a whole bunch of lawyers involved. And that's where that fear comes in. Be manly and the legends of humanity. Welcome to the fellowship of honourable men and women role models for boys and men, because you have the power to be a man in all its glory. Damian Andrews here for Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity. I wanted to talk to you about having a fight. Now, what I'm not talking about is a physical fight. We'll deal with that separately. But what I wanted to talk to you about was having the ability to stand up and have that courage to actually push things where you need to push things, to stand up for what's right for you. And that said, we're not talking about a physical fight here. What we're talking about is having the courage to draw a boundary, draw a line, and actually take the steps you need to get a result. I had that experience, one experience I want to share is with a client. Now, these are a great client. We had a lot of great relationships, had a lot of good friendships with the people in that organization, and I still do. We still have a great relationship. And what happened was, I did some work for the client, and then there became a bit of a negotiation, shall we say, where they wanted to discount the price. The manager that I was dealing with wanted to discount the price after I'd done the work. So we'd had a number of discussions, clarified things, worked through things. I'd done the work that they said that they wanted to do. And then after the fact, they've come and said, oh, actually, we don't think it required all that effort to do that, and we want to discount that. So we went backwards and forwards a number of times, trying to clarify, trying to work it through. And it got to the point where it wasn't getting resolved. And there was a number of discussions had, some more senior people were involved, and it just continued on and continued to drag on. And I thought, this is not good. And knowing the relationship we had, and I knew that a lot of the more senior people in the organization, it was quite a large company, it was an international company, and the CEO of the Australian branch, I knew him, I'd met him a couple of times, didn't know him well, but I did know him. And so I thought, well, what I need to do is ratchet this up, get some attention. So what I drew is actually draw up a writ for the court, an actual claim for the court. And I prepared it all properly, and then I sent, rather than lodging it with the court, I just sent it to the CEO and a number of the senior managers and the person involved, and said, this is, if we can't resolve this, this is what's coming. Well, then we had a more serious meeting, which was really good, a bigger discussion with the legal team, and we worked through it, and we reached an outcome. And they acknowledged at the start, they said, well, you've just done this as a marketing thing, and it was like, part of it was going here, because they'd had a number of legal issues, so they knew what the seriousness was in this particular situation. But what it was really about was just standing up. They were pushing back, their big organization wanted to save some money, a department wanted to save some money. Well, that's what I'm understanding went on behind the scenes. But it became a position of where do you draw the line? Where do you set the boundary and say, okay, this is far enough. I need to set a boundary, and this is where I need to stand up and fight. So it's not a physical fight, but stand up and say, hey, this is what I need to do to achieve the outcome. And that's what part of the courage component of being manly is about. It's, do you have the courage not only to stand up, but also we add to that the intelligence part. Do you have the ability to think through that and work through a strategy that's going to result in an outcome that works for everybody? So have a bit of a think about that one, from that perspective of, using that as an example. There are times when you just need to draw the line and say, this is what I'm going to do, and take that. And it can be really, really intimidating to do that. It can take a lot of courage. And that's, from my perspective, that was very much the case. I'd written up the writ, and I'm thinking, okay, now we're stepping into a very serious point here, where there is an unknown. They could have reacted badly to that. They could have got a whole bunch of lawyers involved. And that's where that fear comes in. Courage is not having fear. Courage is acting in spite of it. And I had a lot of concern, a lot of, how is this going to play out? But I did it anyway, and I got a great result. We had a mutual understanding at the end of it, and we still have a great relationship, which is really important. So, and that's one of those things that I find in those situations. Generally, it's not so much about that you're worried about it, it's how you manage it in that time. And we had some good discussions during that phase. We're able to work it through, but that's a whole different program, and I certainly have a lot of information to help in those negotiations with my negotiation magic program, very separate from Be Manly, but it is a resource there that is available. So think about that from those perspectives. There are times where you just need to stand up, have that fight, not physical, but have the courage to stand up and draw the boundary and say, this is the step that I'm going to take. Can be scary, can be intimidating, but if you step through it and step through it in a calm and logical manner, it'll serve you very well. This is Damian Andrews for Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity. Before you go, you're invited to continue the Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity journey. Subscribe to our YouTube and become a patron, where you can become a courageous crusader, a wise warrior, a daring dynamo, and even an ascending avenger. Here you'll find all the tools to become a man in all its glory. We're honored to walk side by side with you on this extraordinary adventure. Together, we're unleashing the full power of manhood, creating a better world for everyone.